Namo Shakyamuni Buddha. Greetings to all listeners of True Buddhism. Today's Dharma talk has excerpted from the book Way Back to the Buddhist Place by the Venerable Elder Thich with the following topic: The Four Places of Mindfulness of Noble Anasrava Concentration and the Four Noble Concentrations of Dwelling in Present Bliss. Also, because of not being able to let go of the worldly life, most of Buddhist monks and nuns all over the world cannot enter the Four Places of Mindfulness of Noble Anasrava Concentration and the Four Noble Concentrations of Dwelling in Present Bliss. They only explain shallowly and theoretically the Four Places of Mindfulness in different names as Vipassana, the heart of meditation, Four Places of Meditating, etc. The Four Places of Mindfulness of Noble Anasrava Concentration is a type of concentration of Buddhism. Practitioners who assiduously practice it will sweep away all the greed, anger, ignorance, conceit, doubt, to help their minds abandon desire and evilness and have complete liberation to put an end to rebirth. But you should not follow the explanation out of imagination of the scholars, lest your practice would get to nowhere. They have all sorts of arguments, but in the end, they only suppress the mind and cannot overcome the sufferings and afflictions at all. If you want to carry out this concentration but do not leave the causing condition of life, how can you do it? It is the same for the Four Noble Concentrations of Dwelling in Present Bliss. Without leaving the causing condition of life, the practitioners should not practice it, because even if you try, you cannot enter it, but rather disorder your nerve system due to the suppression of mind. There would be no benefit but peril, i.e., madness due to disorder of the nerve system. Regarding the Four Places of Mindfulness of Noble Anasrava Concentration and the Four Noble Concentrations of Dwelling in Present Bliss, since the Buddha and the holy monks entered Nibbana, no one has been able to practice and enter these concentrations. Therefore, these two concentrations have lost their origin, and no one knew the right method for practice. Regarding the life of today Buddhist monks and nuns, the majority of them are living in fame and wealth. Their ways of dressing and lifestyle are similar to the feudal kings and lords. Pagodas are as colossal as the luxurious palaces. Seeing their lifestyle, we can determine that their minds are full of greed, anger, ignorance, conceit, and doubts. They prefer things which are of good quality and luxurious, and pay much attention to fame. Therefore, none of them can enter the Four Noble Concentrations of Dwelling in Present Bliss. These are merely empty words in the original canons. None of them have first-hand experience and practice. Most of the nowadays Buddhist monks and nuns of the Northern School Buddhism in all corners of the world consider the Four Noble Concentrations of Dwelling in Present Bliss as heretical meditation, meditation of ordinary people, meditation of Hinayana or Dhyana.
In the time of the Buddha, the canons only mentioned 62 theories of heresy, but did not mention the Four Noble Concentrations. After all, in all religions of this world, from the past to present, in their canons, there has been no teaching of the Four Noble Concentrations of Dwelling in Present Bliss. Only the original canons of Buddhism taught it. But in careful examination, before the Buddha, there were the concentrations, but in the type of four concentrations of suppressing the mind of heresy. Therefore, when the Buddha was a little boy, he sat under the jambu tree to lead his mind towards letting go of desire and evilness. At present, most of Buddhist monks, nuns, and all of heretical monks, nuns cannot enter the Four Noble Concentrations. The scholars in the past and at present have studied these concentrations. They could not develop the practicing methods and only rely on some existing words in the canons to teach ambiguously and vaguely, like those walking in the night without torch or light. They deliberately avoided these concentrations and did not dare to touch them. Why do we know that there has been no one who could enter these types of concentrations? 1. All the current canons teaching meditation do not teach these concentrations. 2. Few ancient canons mentioned these four concentrations. Though the original canons of Buddhism mentioned them, the scholars did not practice and did not enter these concentrations, and they could only perfunctorily mention them out of their imagination without any first-hand experience or specific practicing method. 3. In the world, there has been no information of anyone who could enter these concentrations. 4. In the world, we have not heard of anyone who could enter the Four Noble Concentrations and stop the breath from 1, 2, 3 months to 1, 2, 3 years without eating or drinking, but did not die. 5. In order to enter these concentrations, the breath and all operations inside the body must stop. After entering concentrations from 1, 2, 3 months to 1, 2, 3 years, when coming out of concentrations, the person can return to life as normally. They are the rare types of concentrations in this world, and they are also more difficult to practice than other types. People who do not make great efforts to study the Four Noble Concentrations and only rely on the saying that this concentration is of heresy are followers of others without intellect. Through our study and search for many types of canons, we strongly confirm that only Buddhism has the 4 places of mindfulness of noble Anasrava concentration and the 4 noble concentrations of dwelling in present bliss, and the original canons of Buddhism have taught it very carefully, from the smallest and easiest methods to practice and have immediate results to the most difficult methods to stop the breath and master the life and death. Thank you for joining this journey today. Hope you all live without creating sufferings to yourselves, to others, and to all living beings. Regular mindfulness reminder: the mind is peaceful, blissful, and carefree. See you again in the next episode.